Hi, welcome to the Video Club's Spotlight number 9. In these spotlights, we feature the creative work of one or more of our Video Club members. Today we're going to watch a film created by Wolfgang Cutter. Wolfgang teaches a very interesting course for us at the Video Club, and he's a sailor. And you may know that in France, the country of France, there is a network of canals that used to be very important for them, but not quite so important now. And Wolfgang and some of his friends rented a boat and drove part way along one of these canals. It's a canal that runs along the southern part of France, and it's called the Canal du Midi.
A trip through history. The 225-mile-long waterway was built in the late 1600s and considered an extraordinary engineering feat. The main aim was to transport goods from the Mediterranean to the Atlantic, or vice versa, avoiding the long sea route around Gibraltar. In May of 2002, we traveled by chartered boat the short section indicated in red. Before we got to our charter boat, we drove along the canal, starting in Sète at the Mediterranean entrance. The canal goes from here in a west-northwest direction toward Toulouse and Bordeaux. And it looks like a fleet of young sailors is getting ready for a sail race in the open waters.
The lighthouse of Les Angles, Écluse Ronde, or the round lock here in Agnes. The lockkeeper's house. Boats are waiting to be locked through. The lock just opened, and the first boat is entering the lock. The almost round chamber. Two boats are in. The gate is being closed. To leave the lock and go toward the end of the canal, which we saw earlier. A very unique spot on the canal is the Écluse with 9 locks. This lock is just outside of Béziers. There are 4 boats in this lock. This chamber is being closed. And the next one is being filled. The flow of water is rather strong, and people are struggling to keep their boats in place. Well, here's the next one. I believe that this is now the 5th or 6th chamber. The next set of boats, actually they're ahead of the ones which I just showed. They're waiting for the chamber to fill. Again, the stream is very strong and people are struggling to hold on to the lines. The total lift is 65 feet. Well, these people made it, and we might see them again tomorrow. From here one has a beautiful view toward the city of Béziers. We will pick up the boat close to Toulouse, but will not make it all the way to Béziers. Well, the same boat which we just met at the 9 Locks is passing now the tunnel of Millepas. By the way, I just learned that the original lock had 9 chambers. Now it has only 7.
Oh, das ist ja eine Woche. Hast du den vorhin auch aufgenommen?
Yeah. The tunnel is not too long, but it's very narrow. We continued our drive basically along the Canal du Midi. A little somebody is ready to explore this beautiful canal through the Languedoc.
The monument at the Col de Nourouz was erected in memory of Mr. Riquet, the promoter and builder of the Canal du Midi. Here, the canal crosses the highest elevation of the route.
Negra on the Canal du Midi, the start of our 1-week cruise. We chartered a 41-foot Pinichet. It has room for 8 people. That is 4 separate cabins, 4 bikes, and I'm sure I will tell other details as we progress through the week. Well, it's close to 9 o'clock on Tuesday. We just left Nega and are on our first day of adventure. The first big excitement of the day, we entered our first lock, dropped off 2 people at the little pier in the back, and then had to come in here. Here's Carol, our forward line handler, and Valen handling the stern lines, but right now he's pretty relaxed. I have been relieved of my command, and our new skipper, Valen, has taken over after passing a double lock. We just crossed a little creek. Our second lock was negotiated very, very successful. Oh, that's an old...
Right, good.
We're approaching another bridge to cross.
This goes over another river or a highway.
Bonjour. The third lock went like a charm, and we're now moored right along the banks. Siesta time. Just to add a little excitement, the sailboat here ran aground just before the lock, and we pulled it into the lock and are waiting now for the forward gate to open.
It is a
Pretty lock, and the last one for the day. Our first stop in the little town of La Segala, and we're moored together with a couple other boats right here at the town's edge. The boat we chartered has 4 separate cabins that is sleeping 8 people, although we are only 6. We will have supper here at the little restaurant and stay for the night. Well, this morning we passed several locks and are now in the final lock before Castle Nordery, and we're 3 boats in a tiny little lock, but we made it in perfectly. We just came through this very narrow, pretty bridge into the town of Castle Nordery, the same name as our boat. We have tied up here directly in the city for a lunch stop. Just past the lock seems to be a popular anchorage or mooring space because other boats have tied up here. We spent a very, very rainy night just here at the lock of Saint Roche, a few hundred yards past Castle Nordery. Our boat here is moored on the left bank, past the lock, which is a 4-chamber lock. The locks are controlled electrically from this tower. Back at the basin of Castle Nordery, a pretty view over to the old city. Surprisingly, several of the lock keepers are young ladies. This is the 4th of 11 locks which we have to go through today. In front of us, a tiny little bridge which we only can pass under after we have been lowered.
Alan, watch that.
A very pretty lock here. Bridge all covered with ivy. And in the back, the banks are all beautifully lined with weeping willows. Disappearing as we are locked down. We're mooring for lunch close to a little town of Villepont. A very pretty spot overlooking some of the fields. Here an overflow of the canal. And in front of us, a little bridge. As you can see, the canal is completely lined, well, completely, almost 90% lined with big trees, which have 3 different purposes. The trees were planted to cool the area, that is, reduce water evaporation, stabilize the banks, and create a more impervious riverbed or canal bed created by leaves and the branches falling down. Boat traffic is rather light. However, once in a while you see another charter boat. We're crossing again a little creek, and another boat is approaching us. Finally, a little open spot where we see pretty villages in the back. We're moored in the little town of Secaland for tonight. Other boats seem to have found the same spot. Buildings in the village are from the 12th and 14th century. In the French fashion or Mediterranean fashion, we are anchored, moored stern to, here in Carcassonne. I'm just in the process of taking on water, while the rest of the gang is visiting La Cité, which is the old castle and fort here in Carcassonne. Just past Carcassonne, we moored here for the night at one of the prettiest spots of the canal. This is a new routing which was established by Napoleon. 9 o'clock Saturday morning, and we are on the way. All during the trip we did not have much luck with the weather, and it is cold and drizzling again. At the Frescal River, the Canal du Midi is crossing this river. Here just a lower view of the bridge which carries the canal and the road traffic. The bridge is followed by a little lock. Actually, it's a 3-chamber lock, and it goes right past a major highway. Castelnaudary is approaching the bridge and the lock. We have to wait a minute because the lock is still closed. Here's our first major bridge crossing. There are 2 upper chambers, followed by a little basin, and the 3rd chamber in the distance. Like so many of the lock keepers' houses, have a lot of flowers, nice old buildings, and a description of the lock. It gives the distance to the next lock and the distance to the previous one. All the locks along the canal have an average lift of about 3 meters or 10 feet. Some of course more, some of a little bit less. The lock keeper is mounting his little control tower, from which he has remote control over all the locks. All the locks here at this location. A lunch stop in the little town of Trèbes. I guess there's a little fleet of rental boats. Trèbes is the home base of another charter company. And here's one of the smaller boats. Another view of the village of Treebe. As at many places, there are a lot of vineyards right next to the canal. From the boat, one has real difficulty taking pictures because the trees are obscuring the free view, but we're now walking along the canal to a restaurant. Our luncheon stop is at this old mill right next to a lock. Unfortunately, we will not be able to sit outside. We suddenly see this big barge which fills the lock completely from end to end. The lock gates are open and he's ready to enter the second chamber. And here she comes. The next step is the third chamber. This is a typical stretch along the canal. We are entering under a canopy of trees. Just beautiful. Here's our crew. Alice, Karen, Valen, Marilyn, and Carol. Of course, we had bikes, however we did not use them all too often, again mainly due to the weather. Bridges are a little tricky to take because many times they're on an angle. There's a boat coming.
Carol, what do you think I'm doing? That is so annoying.
We had to back up a little to let him pass.
Wow, look at this place.
This bridge has a just a beam put across with planks on one side, the towpath.
Well, sure.
We're passing an old farmhouse.
Got a little doggy there.
Our first sunny morning and a beautiful lock. Another two-chamber lock and the Canal du Midi straight ahead of us. Sunday lunch, and just for a photo op we decided to sit on the flybridge. It is nice and sunny, but the wind is a little on the chilly side. Enough of this because I'm hungry myself. The view here along the shore is just gorgeous. Wide open fields, hills in the background, and once in a while an old village. Oop, thank you. I just had to move because of low-hanging branches, which we are encountering all day long. Valen has a wheel. Like we encountered so many, another very, very narrow bridge. Not only narrow, but also very, very low, so that people on the flybridge really have to duck. Seems to be a little lake, a side arm connected here to the canal.
Maybe a water supply for the locks. It's marked plan.
We're approaching the community of Omp. Omp is a very, very small village. However, it seems to have a major marina and service facilities. Here another big barge. And when you see the size of the locks, you can't believe that they go through. This town does not look too industrious. However, they seem to have decided to establish some marine facilities here. Another very narrow bridge coming up.
Now we put stakes out.
Valen, our living bollard, while waiting for the opening of our next lock. We're approaching our last lock for the journey. It's the lock near Agen. And it's a 2-chamber lock. Right after the last lock, we moored here along the banks. We'll spend the night and turn in the boat tomorrow morning at the marina, which is just about a mile down the canal. Just before we reach our marina, the Chateau of Agen. It is Monday morning. We turned in the boat, and here's our final adieu. How about a big wave?
That completes what we wanted to show you today on Spotlight number 9. Stay healthy, and we'll see you next time.